or service that you're offering fits them and sells itself. So marketing is getting to know and understand your customer and to know them so well that you know which product or service to offer them so that you don't have to sell. So marketing is not about selling. As far as the Marketing Insider Group is concerned, they say that at the fundamental level, marketing is the process of understanding your customers and building and maintaining relationships with them. So a lot of marketing has to do with understanding our customers. I want to contrast that for you with public relations. And here is what Toastmasters International says about public relations. This is straight off the TI website. Public relations is about information, informing the public, your members, about what's happening in the club in district using various channels. So let's contrast the two for you in a visual way. If you have a look at this particular slide, on the left-hand side, you see a piece of public relations information that went out for an event 2 weeks ago. So you see the information, what it is, when it is, and how to participate. So it's informing you. If you now have a look on the right-hand side, this is a Facebook advert that I wrote a year ago when we were opening a new club. And it says, if you see leaders take the stage with confidence and wish you could as well, click like. In this particular advert, I have used the Toastmasters logo. I did an A/B test to see whether the advert with or without worked better. We didn't get enough clicks to be able to really compare the two, but they both worked. But what am I doing here? I'm speaking to men. So I'm targeting a very specific audience. Men who are established in their careers. They have information to share, or possibly they're being told that they have to present information that they have acquired over their career. And they're looking at people who go onto stage with confidence and they lack confidence. So I'm targeting a very specific group of people and I'm asking for action. If they identify with the person that I'm referring to, click like. This particular advert, it was a paid advert, so it would appear in people's feeds. And because it was paid, I could target very specifically the demographic that I wanted to target. And it was linked to the club's Facebook page. Chances are that nobody ever went to that club's Facebook page. But when they clicked like, I could market back to them through the Facebook page because now I knew who they were. And because they clicked like, I could go into their profile and I could identify who these people were. I knew a lot more about them. So this is the contrast between public relations and marketing. So in public relations, we say this is who we are and this is what we do. Whereas in marketing, we're trying to solve a problem, a challenge, or a pain point for a very specific target audience and asking for action. So in public relations, we're promoting ourselves, whereas when we're marketing, we're trying to connect with our audience. So I hope that you have an understanding of the difference between public relations and marketing. And we'll get into that as a lot more deeply as we go on. A lot of our clubs are online. A lot of our marketing is probably going to be online as well on digital platforms. So digital marketing is using digital platforms to look for those particular prospects that we believe we are targeting for our club. And the reason we're doing this is to increase our membership. So in the course of the next hour and a half or so, there are 3 things that I want to cover. I want to have a look at a lot more of the marketing strategy, and in that specifically who we are targeting. Then I want to have a look at how we speak to this audience that we're targeting. And then finally, have a look at where we find the audience that we're trying to target. So where is our target market? So let's start and have a look at marketing strategy. So who we're speaking to. This will come up a few times during the course of this morning. Meredith Hill said that when you speak to everyone, you speak to no one. Yesterday evening, I got a request to give some advice to a new club that is opening in one of our divisions. And my first question was, who is this club targeting? And I got a whole list of different people, from the unemployed to housewives to young professionals. In other words, the club was trying to speak to everyone. And the problem is that when you try and speak to everyone, you're not really targeting anybody, so nobody's listening, because you're not addressing their specific challenge, problem, pain point, or goal. And a lot of the marketing or the public relations material that we put out is exactly this. It speaks to everyone. We're not aiming at a particular target audience. So let's try and have a look at how a club could find its target audience. So I'd like to start with you. You were once a prospect for your club. So I'd like you to write down for me, and we have 31 people on board, so I'm hoping that we can actually form a club with a couple of members. So I'm going to ask some people to unmute themselves later and to tell us their story. So please write down for me why you joined Toastmasters. Now, as you're thinking about why you joined Toastmasters, think about it in a very specific way. Think about the problem in your life that you were trying to solve at the time. And as you think about the problem that you were trying to solve, now think about what in the Toastmasters environment, when the Toastmasters, either the program or the club environment, solved that particular problem for you. So to give you an idea, I'm going to tell you my story. I joined Toastmasters when I left the corporate world, and I was starting my own business, and it was a business that I knew I would have to promote to prospective clients. So I'd have to sell this new business. I needed presentation skills. What did I learn through Toastmasters? The first thing I learned was that people find it easier to relate to stories and anecdotes than they do to facts and information. As a scientist, I love facts and information. And the way that I used to speak to people, particularly in presentations, was to bombard them with facts and information because I thought that that would impress them. I learned that stories and anecdotes connect far better with an audience. But most importantly, I learned to develop a clear message that motivates or inspires the audience I'm speaking to, the prospect I'm speaking to. So what was my challenge? I needed more customers. That was my challenge. I was starting a business. I needed more clients. What were the solutions? I learned to deliver a clear message that motivated or inspired, and I learned that stories and anecdotes help to do that better than facts and information. So here now you can see why I joined Toastmasters. I had a challenge, and Toastmasters helped to solve that challenge with two specific things that I learned. And just by the way, this particular bit of wisdom, I'm not sure if anybody ever told me during my corporate career. If they did, I didn't listen to it, but I only learned this as a result of Ralph C. Smedley through Toastmasters. And as you're still writing why you joined Toastmasters, think about what's changed in your life as a result of that problem that you had being solved. and also the benefits that you've gained as a result of solving the problem. In my case, did I get more clients? Yes, I did. What did I get as a result? Well, I was able to earn more income. So that's how I benefited from Toastmasters. So at this point, I would really like to ask a few people to raise their hands, and you do that by using the chat box, if you're willing to tell us your story.
I'll look out for raised hands. You just need to click on the participants button on your screen if you're using a computer, and then by your name, you'll be able to get more options and raise your hand. It's one of the options there. Otherwise, if you cannot find that, please unmute yourself and we can give you a turn to speak.
Anna-Marie.
Just repeat that question. What are you looking for people's input on?
I want to find out why they joined Toastmasters, what problem in their life were they trying to solve, and how did Toastmasters help to resolve that? And I saw Anna-Marie's hand go up and Madeline as well. So if Anna-Marie can unmute herself.
Yes, I'm unmuted. Okay, now I was invited long ago to go and tell people all over the world about choral music in South Africa and what is happening and so on. And I did that. The first time I did that was in Sweden, and I absolutely nearly died because it was terrible for me. I just felt I couldn't do it. And then one day on the radio, I heard a conversation with somebody that was a Toastmaster, and I decided I will join Toastmasters. I joined it only for the practicing the ability to speak in front of people. But in the end, I realized that it helped absolutely a lot with leadership. I didn't realize, I didn't go and look for strategies to be a good leader, but I found that. And after that, my life changed because I still am invited to go overseas and speak about the choir things, well, when COVID is gone, but now I am able to do it. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Anna-Marie. Let's hear from Madeline.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
Yes, I'm a civil engineer, and I was a member of, or I am a member of the industry for civil engineers, the society. Joined the committee, and then I was going to be the chairman next, which meant I would have to speak in front of people. And as just not long before that, a few months ago, I was speaking at a conference, but I had absolutely not really prepared my speech. I had slides. You know, the old story, you have slides and you think you're just going to kind of figure it out as you go along. And it was horrific. I said some words 15 times, I think, over and over, and just stuttered, and it made no sense. And I sort of thought back about the experience. I think I looked like a bunny with my, bunny in the headlights, a rabbit in the headlights type of thing. And I realized that this is really going to, put me at a very low end of my industry, and I can't be, I'm going to be the chairman of the society, so I have to be up there. I joined Toastmasters, and it's absolutely changed my life from that perspective. I was suddenly comfortable to host a big lunch with participants, be the MC. I was able to speak and deliver confidently at conferences. I'm still not a comfortable speaker because that's just not I don't think I'm a natural comfortable speaker, but it's increased my ability to do that, and with confidence, and learn tricks. And obviously, like you say, learn to have a purpose for your speech, and then learning to prepare and learning to just keep it simple, and, the triads and all those things I've learned. But something else that helped me a lot in business that I like to add is the feedback, the ability to give feedback in a much more motivating, constructive way, and how you package feedback and make people feel better, but you're still able to get it out there. So all in all, it's really had a massive impact on my life. And that's in terms of my career, but in terms of my life as well, I've met lots of friends. So thanks for that.
Thank you very much, Madeleine. And then we have Akandam.
Hello, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
My name is Akandam from Malawi. I'm a member of Blantyre Toastmasters Club in Malawi, in Blantyre. I joined Toastmasters because, well, basically I wanted to improve my communication skills. I'm a professional accountant, but I've always felt that I'm meant to be on stage because I've had people come to me asking for me like to cancel them. So I've always had this in mind. Even at functions, someone would just say, "Oh, Akwanta, could you please be the master of ceremonies?" Just like that, or to speak at functions. So I decided that I needed to improve my communication skills. That's why I joined Toastmasters Club. But the benefits there are so many. I'm learning to be a leader. I'm learning leadership skills, learning to write speeches and present them in a group setting. I'm building my self-confidence and also getting rid of stage fright. So I'm really enjoying that. And because of Toastmasters, I enrolled for a course with a training with Jackie Canfield. It's called Train the Trainer online program, where I'm learning to train other people. And right now, I'm building an online course which will be giving me money as I sleep, and I'll leave a legacy for my daughter. So all these are benefits from Toastmasters Club. Thank you. Back to you, John.
Thank you so much, Akandam. Kamogelo.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, I'm a student from Glasgow, my final year, and I joined Toastmasters last year, 2019, and that was after I had to present my proposal to the class. I had to make a presentation, and through that presentation, I was stuttering throughout. I was very shaky and all of that. And with that, it was also because I was totally not confident, and I felt like my voice was kind of different. I wasn't very fluent in speaking English. And from there, I felt like everybody looked down on me, and I realized that if I'm going to do something about it, I'm just going to remain the quiet girl. And then I decided to join Toastmasters. And through Toastmasters, I've learned to slowly grow, to be more confident in myself, my voice, my opinions. And now I'm able to participate.
Kamogelo, we're not hearing you very clearly, but I think we've got the idea that you also wanted to develop presentation skills, and as a result of Toastmasters, you've gained confidence. I'm going to finally then ask Nirvana, could you also share with us what the reasons why you joined Toastmasters?
Thank you, JP, and good morning to everyone. I hope you're having a great morning so far. When I joined Toastmasters, it was 2012, and I joined as a founding member of the then TWP Toastmasters Club, which is now the Melrose Arch Toastmasters Club. It started off as a closed corporate club and then evolved to include members, specifically people that worked in and around and lived in and around Melrose Arch. The reason I joined is because I have been a public speaker for a number of years before that, and I always wanted to join Toastmasters. But in the areas that I lived, it wasn't clear then where the clubs were, so I was quite excited to join. So I'm a chemical engineer by training, and I found myself at the age of 25 being pushed into management. And it was quite a pleasant push because I was required to address an international audience, and I literally started out my management career by having to present in Germany with all the other quality and systems managers at that point in time. And as I progressed in my career, I found myself in more and more senior positions that required me to address a more senior audience. And I had no issues really with confidence or with speaking, but what Toastmasters has taught me is the structure. Whenever I wants to write a speech, I always think about triads, because triads for me is the most powerful thing that I think anybody could learn from Toastmasters. And I found myself always counting the ums and the uhs without even trying to, whenever I heard a public speech. And I say it was quite refreshing, because it actually makes you a more fluent speaker, and a speaker that can think at an instance. So if you have to do that elevator pitch, you always prepared for it. And that was my main reason for joining Toastmasters. And it was a bit late, but eventually I got there, and I'm enjoying every part of it. Thank you, JP.
Wonderful. Thank you, Nirvana. Thanks for sharing. Thanks everyone for sharing. So now let's have a look what we can do with this information that we've gained. So let's now have a look at sorry, I'm just going through. Let's have a look at we're going to try and determine, a target market for our little club. We now have a club of myself and 5 other members, and we're going to do the exercise that I'm putting up now of determining our target market. So we can't speak to everyone. So we have to speak to a particular audience. So what we've done is we've analyzed, we've asked 6 members in our Toastmasters Club of 6 members, to each tell us why they joined Toastmasters. And it's quite clear that what was missing in the lives of our particular members is presentation skills. So either because they were presenting to an international audience, they were trying to share either professionally or in terms of a particular interest that they had. So it was either directly to an audience, or it was in a conference setting, or it was in a meeting setting, again, probably a conference setting as well, that our members, and in my case, it was one-on-one to a particular prospect that I had to learn presentation skills. So we're now evaluating what those skills are. So what my suggestion is, in your particular club, if you're Vice President Public Relations, or if you're on the ExCo, it's get to understand who the club members are, as we have just done this morning. And then sit down and analyze those results. And then I think it's useful to have a look with the Vice President of Education what pathways the various members are on. Now, we haven't asked that this morning. The reason that I suggest that you have a look at pathways is because pathways is still fairly new. And if we're going to offer mentorship to the prospect that we're asking to come into our club, it would be helpful if we know that we've got somebody ahead of them on that particular pathway, so that we can mentor them effectively. So then we're going to try and find or list the best prospects for our club. And decide finally on an ideal prospect. And the reason that we want to do that is because when we're marketing to our prospect, we want to know them so well that we can speak to them in their language. What marketing wants to achieve is to have a conversation with somebody the way that you would probably have a conversation when you're standing at the coffee station at work. So an informal but yet intimate and direct conversation with another human being. That is how we want to speak in terms of our marketing. And we want to address a particular problem that the person we're standing with has. and offer a solution that we know that we can deliver on. So in terms of the club membership that we have, we want to try, we have a majority of women in our club of 6 members. It mightn't be a bad idea if we continue to attract women. And we're looking at people with professional skills by the looks of it. So we're looking at somebody who is professional and who wants to develop their communication skills in a professional capacity. So what I want to do now is stop sharing my presentation, and I want to share instead a spreadsheet that I've developed specifically to help us to understand our target audience. So I hope if we are not looking at the spreadsheet, please tell me. And the first thing that we want to do when we're addressing our audience is let's give the person a name. So we're wanting to address a particular person, so let's call this person Jane. What would Jane's age range be that we're addressing? So we're probably looking at somebody who's already established in a career, so probably beyond the age of 25 and probably under the age of 40. So we're probably looking for somebody around 29 to 40. That's probably about the age range that we're looking at. We've decided we want to specifically address women. They're probably married, because they are professional, they're in a career. They might be single, but maybe it's helpful if
we need, whether in the class it's boring or not, we need to see everything what teacher is doing, right?
Sorry, Renu? Okay. Ultimately, what we want to be able to do is we want to identify this person that we're speaking to, sum them up in a way that we can understand them in a single sentence. The sentence that I have here would identify an entrepreneur. So if I don't do it, it doesn't get done. But we're not looking at that kind of a person right now. We're looking at a career-oriented female who wants presentation skills. Well, she wants to build her career. She wants to be able to stand in front of a group of people with confidence. So and we've heard from a number of our club members, they had confidence, they just lacked skill. We want to look at the occupation of the person that we're addressing. And we also want to look specifically at their job title. And let me share with you why. We've looked, one of our club members is a civil engineer, one of our club members is a chemical engineer. Now, I'm not quite sure exactly what kind of a chemical engineer Nirvana is, but I have 2 friends who passed district governors. They're both chemical engineers, and one of them works in effluent management. The other one works in the petroleum industry. So if we go targeting these 2 chemical engineers, we'd be looking for them in very different environments. I worked in the diamond mining industry, and I worked with a lot of chemical engineers. They were process engineers, and their particular interest was in dense media separation. So I've described to you 3 chemical engineers who are very different in terms of their knowledge base, the types of journals they would be reading, the conferences that they would be going to, and that becomes very critical when we're marketing to them specifically. So we want to describe who this person is in terms of their occupation. So maybe because we have a number of already 2 engineers in our club, maybe let's target more engineers. And now let's look for a very specific engineer. And because maybe my knowledge is greater, but let's look for somebody who's a chemical engineer and who is in the environmental industry. They're in the upper LSM groups, probably 8 or 9. And their goal, as we know, is to be really good at presenting at conferences, because their career is how they identify themselves, and they want to develop in that aspect. So when we're targeting them, when we're trying to offer them a solution from Toastmasters, we're trying to help them achieve this goal of really being able to become knowledge leaders and leaders in their particular industry. So that's the goal that we want to help them achieve. And what would they value in their life? Obviously, it's already becoming apparent that this person values their career and their career development and their status and standing in terms of their career. So those values we can address in terms of what we're offering them. Source information becomes very helpful when we're trying to target and find our audience. So what kind of books would our chemical engineer be reading? What kind of journals? So this person's obviously reading things in the environmental engineering field, maybe specifically related to environmental waste management. These are the types of conferences that the person would be attending. If we were looking at blogs and websites where this person would be interacting with other professionals, they would be related to that sphere. If there was an industry leader that they were following, who would that be? And we have a chemical engineer in our club, so we can go to this person and ask, who are the leaders in your particular field? Because this helps us to find our particular prospect. What are the challenges? The challenges are that this prospect has a lot of information, is growing in their career, has aspirations to be a good presenter and to become a knowledge leader, and their challenge is their presentation skills. They can't get their knowledge across effectively. And as a result, they have a pain point. They are falling behind in their perception other people who are leading in their career. So we can address that pain point, we can address that challenge. Would this person have any objections to joining Toastmasters? Already, it's unlikely that cost would be an objection, because they are interested in self-development, they've got a good career, and they want to advance in their career. So cost is not something that we would have to address. We might have to address the time element. They're busy already. How is this person going to find the time, or how are we going to tell them that it's not time intensive to be a Toastmaster? And if we can do that, we can solve these objections in the advertising that we do, in the way that we interact with this person. You'll see very shortly that that'll help the person to rationalize why they're making the decision to join us. What other objections? Or this person, like some of our members, has probably already had the experience of making a mess of a presentation or of a conference where they had to stand up. So maybe their confidence has already taken a bit of a knock, and now they feel, well, you know, I've seen other people do it, but can I really do this myself? So if we can reassure them that they and anybody else can become a good presenter, because it's a skill. It's not something that is intrinsic. It's a skill that can be learned. So if we can share that in terms, we will relieve them of this particular objective. Now, finally, we want to discuss what benefit they will get. So what will they have once they become a Toastmaster? We've heard already from a number of the stories, in fact, all the stories that we've heard this morning, how people's careers blossom. So this particular person that we're addressing, we can reassure them that their career is going to progress in leaps and bounds as a result of the skills that they will learn. It'll give them even greater confidence that they already have, but not only confidence, it'll give them the confidence to share their particular expertise and knowledge. It'll give them greater status, and status is something that probably a lot of professionals are looking for, and maybe it is something that professional women require, because women in the professional world still feel that they're not treated quite as equally as their male counterparts. So it's something that they want to develop. How will it change their day-to-day life? They will just feel a lot easier when it comes to having to share. So if they're asked something on the spur of the moment, they will step forward with confidence instead, because they will have the particular skill, instead of having to think on their feet and having to worry and feeling insecure whenever they're asked. So these are all aspects that we can bring into our marketing material. Is there a way that we can explain what the Toastmasters, what we're offering them? So we're offering them presentation skills. We're not offering them Toastmasters. We're offering our prospect the ability to present in a very structured and to be able to share their information in a very succinct way that their audience will respect them for their particular skill set. So can we explain this to them in terms of an analogy? I can't quickly think of one for the engineers, sorry, not off the top of my head, because it does take a bit of thinking, and it's good when you're sitting with your club exco thinking this through. How can we find an analogy for our particular prospect? And now we're going to look for testimonials. We already have 2 engineers in our club. We can use their testimonials. So that'll give social proof that what we are saying actually works. And how is this particular set of presentation skills different from any other set of presentation skills that they could learn? And I'll give you some examples when we go back into the presentation. So this worksheet will also be made available to you. And I really do suggest that if you want to develop a marketing strategy to attract a specific group of prospects to your club that match the target audience of your club, please use this spreadsheet. I'm going to now stop sharing it or go back to sharing the slideshow. At this point, I think we've still got some time on our hands. If you'd like to raise your hand if you have any questions, we can deal with a few questions. Any hands going up? I don't see any hands being raised. Karabo.
Morning. I wanted to ask, can we put our emails on the chat or for the presentation, or you already have our email addresses?
I don't, but Anke does. You have registered. There is a registration request in the chat box. Please fill in that registration. And you probably have also registered for this program. So we will make the material available on those, to the emails on those lists.
Okay.
I'll paste the registration link into the chat again shortly.
Thank you very much, Anke. That's the only raised hand I see. So let's go directly back into the presentation then. So let's summarize. We want to speak to an ideal prospect. So we don't want to speak to everybody. We want to know exactly who our prospect is, and we want to do that so that we can speak to them in their language. In our case, we're talking to an engineer, so we want to be able to speak to the engineer in a language that they would be chatting when they're standing around the coffee counter at work. We want to understand their problems so well that we can offer a solution. So we understand their need for presentation skills. It's not just general presentation skills. They have a really specific need related to their career development, and we can offer that solution to that problem. We know what their challenges are because we have engineers in our club who have gone through similar challenges. So we can really identify with the challenges that this prospect wants to overcome and the pain points that they are suffering right now because of that challenge. And we also know the types of objections that this particular prospect might have in their mind when we offer them a solution, and therefore we can resolve those objections and help them rationalize the decision that they're going to make. And we're not offering them Toastmasters. We're going to be offering them a program in presentation skills. Because Toastmasters, even though it's a really good brand, it's maybe not a brand that is as well known as we'd like it to be. And maybe it doesn't say to the prospect exactly what we're offering them. So we're going to offer them very specifically presentation skills, which happens to be a pathway in our Toastmasters curriculum. So now we know who we are speaking to. Now let's have a look at how we would address that particular person. How do we speak to a prospect? And this is what in marketing is called copywriting. Everything that you write in the marketing profession is called copy. It's the cornerstone of all marketing. It is a skill, but it's not as difficult as it seems from the onset. And one of the main objectives of copywriting is to get the person you're speaking to take an action. And that action should take them closer and closer to becoming a member of your club. If your copywriting doesn't achieve that, you're not going to get more members. So here again, we can see the difference between PR, which is just saying, listen, we've got a club meeting. This is when we meet. This is where we meet. Register here. We're now asking, in marketing, we're asking for a very specific action. And the essence of what we're doing is to speak to another human being. And we want to speak to them in a way that we focus on their challenges, their pain points, and do it in a way that they experience an emotional connection between how they're feeling right now and what we are saying. And when we can make that emotional connection, they'll become a member of our club. So I want to give you an example of how copywriting would want to speak to another person. I'm walking up to the coffee station at work and I see somebody else standing at the coffee station already. What would I say if I walked up to them at the coffee station? I'd probably say something like, hey, what's up? Now the other person turns around and says, I'm preparing for a presentation. What public relations would typically do is interject at this particular point and say, hey, why don't you come to our Toastmasters Club? We meet every second and fourth Monday at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and we meet in boardroom number 2. What we've just done with our public relations is we've failed to connect with the problem that the person has. So the person standing at the coffee station says, yeah, but so what? At least in their mind they do. Why is this person telling me about Toastmasters? So in terms of marketing, what would we rather do? We'd look at the person and we'd say, hey, you're looking rather worried. Now the person would turn and say, yes, actually, I am rather worried. And I would now say, so what are you worried about? And then I'd listen as the person begins to explain. And what would I hear? Chances are I would hear that there's a lack of structure in what they're thinking about presenting. There's a great focus on presenting information. I don't hear any stories and anecdotes, etc., etc. So I'm beginning to pick up where I can assist them. So what would I say now? I would say, but why don't you tell me, what is the message that you're trying to get across? What do you want your audience to take away when they leave your presentation? So I'm switching the conversation towards a solution. And now I might even help them. Now that once they've told me what their final message is, I would suggest to them that maybe this structure would help them. And I'd ask them, so what stories and anecdotes would help you to deliver your message? And I might now reassure them that all the information that they've been telling me about isn't really as critical to the audience as connecting with the audience through some stories and anecdotes. Because once the audience is connected with what you're trying to present with the message, they'll come back to you and ask you for the information. So now that I've helped the person, I've gained their interest, but also I've gained an opening to share something more with them. Now I could say to them, hey, what I've just helped you with, I learned through a presentation program that's being offered in my Toastmasters club and through the help of other members. But I've only just scratched the surface with you. There's so much more that you can still learn, and then you could become a whiz at presentations. Why don't I meet you here at 10 to 5 on Monday? And why don't you come with me? Because I would love to introduce you to the people who are helping me. I've just offered the person some great solutions to the thing that they're most worried about, which is the presentation they're going to give. And I've said that I'm not alone. I've got a whole group of people backing me. They're far more knowledgeable than I am. And I'd like to introduce this person to the people who are backing me. I'm not putting any pressure on them. I'm connecting them very directly with the challenge that they're having. And I'm offering them a no-risk social interaction almost. It's a far better way of getting the person to come to the club meeting than trying to show them a bunch of public relations, which is, hey, we meet it, as I did earlier on. So this is the way that we want to connect through our copy, unless we're speaking directly to the person. A lot of our marketing, because our clubs are online, will probably also be online. Our copy wants to address or interact with the person very much in the way that I've just interacted at the coffee station with a real person. Now I want to share with you some things that you need to understand about sales. So although marketing is not directly selling, ultimately we want the prospect to join our club, which is a process of buying from us. So I need you to understand a couple of things around selling. And you can probably relate to this immediately. People hate being sold. I regularly, almost twice a week, get an 087 phone call from some or other insurance company wanting to sell me something. Do you get the same? What's your interaction or your reaction? You see an 087 number and your heart sinks into your boots and you think, am I going to be rude this time? How am I going to get out of this conversation quickly? Or you don't even bother to answer the phone. But truth is that people love to buy. Think about the times that you go out to buy, that you have the opportunity to go and buy, you love that experience of coming home with something new. And people buy for emotional reasons, and then they have to justify it logically. If you're a lady, even some gentlemen love buying shoes. Think about the last time you went out to buy a pair of shoes. Did you have a logical reason to buy those shoes? Or did you walk past a shop and just fall in love? You had an emotional reason for buying, but then you could justify it logically. You have a new outfit, or won't it just look great with? And so you justify logically why the emotional reason you made is a good one. Your mobile phone at 2 years old is probably in perfect working order and is still pretty much up to date. But you want to upgrade. Why? For emotional reasons. There's no logical reason for upgrading, but you do every 2 years. So we hate to be sold, but we love to buy. We buy for emotional reasons, and then we've got to justify why we've made the purchasing decision. So our rational brain needs to rationalize the decisions that the emotional brain makes. And here, if we've workshopped the objectives in that spreadsheet, if we've workshopped the objectives very well, we can already give our prospect rational reasons why they're making an emotional decision. Because we know that when they make the decision to join your club, it's going to be on an emotional basis, not a logical basis. We don't buy for logical reasons. We buy for emotional reasons. So whatever that emotional reason is, they now need to justify it. And the first thing that will stand in the way of justifying it are the objections they have in their mind. So if you've already cleared those objections, they can immediately rationalize why they're joining you. So let's look at this again. We want to focus on our prospects' challenges and their pain points, and we want to do it in a way that they experience an emotional connection between what they are feeling and what we're offering them. And then they'll become a member of our Toastmasters Club. So good copy, a good conversation that we have will help to solve a prospect's problem or achieve a goal and ask them to take action. So if you have connected with your prospect, the obvious next step for them should be an action step. Online, it'll probably be to click, to provide an email address, to take some form of action so that they get closer to becoming a member, so that they can get closer to building a relationship with you and you with them. And if you fail to make the next logical step a step of taking action, you do need to backtrack and have a look why the next obvious step is not to take action, to rework your copy, to rework the conversation that you're having, so that the next obvious step, as I did with the person at the coffee station, the next obvious step is for them to meet me at 10 to 5 at the coffee station again, so that we can go together for that person to meet my friends in the Toastmasters Club, the people who have taught me so much, so that I was able to share and solve a problem for that person right there and then at the coffee station. The next obvious step is for them to meet me again at 10 to 5 the next Monday evening. So if you have not achieved that next obvious step as an action step in your conversation, your copy, go back and figure it out again. Let's have a look at this particular copy that I wrote last year. If you see leaders take the stage with confidence and you wish you could as well, click like. So I've identified with a particular target audience, men in my case, who are established in their career, who have information, knowledge, experience that they either wish or are being forced to share, and they lack confidence, but they can see other people going up on stages around the world sharing with confidence. They can identify with a pain point, which is their lack of confidence, and a goal, which is that they also want to stand up on stage with confidence. And the next obvious step is, if they connect, is to click like. So this copy connects with a pain point and a goal and asks for immediate action, which is to click like. Let's have a look at why marketing fails. I gave you the example of the public relations approach to the person I met at the coffee station. I'm going to give you another little story, and then again I'll ask some people to raise their hands and give me their reaction. I'll be non-gender specific, but a person walks into a bar, looks up and down the bar counter, walks up to somebody and says, "Will you marry me?" What would your reaction be? Quick raise of hands. Any hands? Anybody want to comment? How would you react to a stranger walking up to you at the bar and saying, "Will you marry me?" Karabo, what would you say?
I'll say no.
Right, exactly. Anybody else?
Definite no.
Yes?
Definite no.
Right, absolutely. And this is the failing of marketing. Marketing very often proposes marriage before it's even started building a relationship with a person. So be careful in your marketing that you are building a relationship with your prospect so that you can connect with them, build that emotional connection so that they want to take the next step towards that marriage offer. You don't offer the marriage at the first meeting. There's another reason why marketing fails, specifically in South Africa, and that's we fail to ask for a commitment. My story, I was club president. It was the last meeting of June. We had 9 out of 10 DCP points already in the bag. If you don't know what that means, speak with a club officer in your club and understand what the DCP program is. But our club had 9 out of 10 DCP points already in the bag. Last meeting of June, we had 19 members. That meant those DCP points would be lost to us because you need a minimum of 20 members or grow by 5 members during the year. But we were already a well-established club. We needed 1 more member. We had guests in the meeting. At the end of the meeting as president, I asked the guests whether they'd enjoyed the meeting. I got very positive responses from each one of the guests. I banged the gavel at the end of the meeting, and what did I do? I took a membership form. I walked up to the guests. I said, "You said you had a great experience during the club meeting." Their response was yes. I said, "Would you like to become a member?" The only answer they could give was yes. And by the end of that evening, we had a new member. We had 20 members for that Toastmasters year. How often does this happen in your club? That you get a good response from guests and the guests leave the meeting and they're not followed up, no relationship building happens, and they fail to become members. In South Africa, we have a great problem not asking for a commitment. Please make sure that in your marketing material, you ask for a commitment. You ask for a very specific, not a general, a very specific action step that'll bring them 1 step closer to becoming a member. So let's learn a few things about good copywriting. Firstly, we want to get the person's attention because we are specifically talking about digital marketing. using digital platforms to connect with the person. Now, why is the person there on that digital platform? Not looking for your marketing material. They're there for another reason. The particular prospect that we're targeting, a professional civil engineer, is online, possibly having a conversation around the next conference that they're going to attend. So they're on a Facebook page for the next environmental management conference, and they're commenting about some environment, some question, or some conversation that's happening on that particular page. So their focus is on solving some or other problem, interacting with people. You've got to grab their attention, distract them from what they're doing with a headline that relates to their particular situation. So that's why we have gone to so much trouble to profile our ideal prospect, because we want to attract their attention in a meaningful way. Next, we want to identify with that particular person's problem, and we know our prospect has presentation issues. Her problem is that she wants to become a great presenter. And we know that we want to offer presentation skills to her, not Toastmasters. We want to offer her the world's best program in presentation skills. And we can prove this because we have two members of our club who are engineers, who have already given us great stories this morning about how the presentation skills that they learned through Toastmasters has revolutionized their career. So we can prove the value of Toastmasters. And now we want to ask them to take a step towards signing an application form in the way that we're going to interact with them. So those are the essentials of good copywriting. Let's have a look at two pieces of copy. They're not Toastmasters related, but they're good copy. Maybe you know the organization, the program Evernote. Here is their copy. Feel organized without the effort. If you're one of those people who's collating a lot of information, you probably feel the effort that it takes to keep all this information properly filed, properly, what's the right word, looked after so that you can find it again. Evernote helps you capture and prioritize ideas, projects, and to-do lists so that nothing falls through the cracks. As I go through my day online, I read articles, and so many of them have information that I want to remember, so I file them. But when I come to look for them again, I've forgotten where I filed them. Now, Evernote is telling me that they have a solution for me. They can do this effortlessly. Wow. And nothing's going to fall through the cracks. And then they say, sign up for free. So they remove all objections because they're offering me free participation. So here's good copy. Attracts my attention, solves my problems, reduces my objections or relieves all the objections, and makes it easy for me and asks me for a next step, which is to sign up. Here's another piece of copy from an organization called Drip. Never heard of them, but they start their marketing material with social proof. We've saved, or what used to take us 12 hours now takes us 0, from a company called Byte Squad. They've saved 12 hours. What is this about? How Byte Squad doubled email opening rates and saved 12 hours per week using this particular product, Drip, which is an intelligent email automation system. So production has doubled and time has been saved. 12 hours of time to double production. If that was my problem, not only that, but here's a video. I can click the video and I can listen to somebody give me an explanation in 1 or 2 minutes. And then they offer a no pressure demonstration. So if this is my problem, if this is my issue, and if I'm wasting time every week, I'm going to want to have a look at this demonstration. Because I can easily say no. They say it's a no pressure demonstration, so I'm going to say no if it doesn't interest me. Starting off with social proof, relating to the problem, offering a low risk or no risk solution. Good copy. So let's look at some other things that are very important in copywriting. We want to address the benefits of what we are offering, not the features. What's the difference? Hands up, please. Who would like to tell us what you can see on screen right now? Somebody unmute yourself and tell us what you can see.
A yellow pencil.
What does it look like? Describe it a little more.
It has an eraser at the back and it's
Right.
sharp.
Right, lovely. It's cylindrical, it's yellow, it has a graphite core, it has a point on the one end and an eraser at the other end. Those are features. But what are the benefits? Why would I buy a yellow pencil? I mean, I've got a clutch pencil lying on my desk somewhere. It's black. I don't know where it is. I can't find it. Oh, the yellow pencil is easy to see on my cluttered desk. And if it's easy to see, it saves me time to be more creative. Those are features. So a yellow pencil is easy to find on my desk and saves me time to be more creative. So the benefit I'm offering is time saving. I'm not selling a pencil, I'm selling a time saving mechanism. Can you see the difference between a feature and a benefit? So let's have a look at something closer to home. Who would like to tell me what the features are of a Toastmasters club? Just unmute and speak.
Everybody's laughing.
Right, thank you. What other features?
You're learning something. What?
Right.
There's 3 sessions. There's prepared speeches, yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Prepared speeches, they're evaluated. We have table topics. Anybody else would like to mention a feature?
It's a safe environment.
It's a safe environment. We have an agenda.
You learn as you go.
You learn as you go, yes, absolutely. We have an agenda. We have roles that help you to that monitor what we do, that help us learn. Those are all features. What are the benefits of a Toastmasters club?
You learn leadership skills, communication skills.
Here is my benefit. It brought me more clients to my business. What was Nirvana's benefit? She learned to be able to present. It revolutionized her career, her management career. How did it help Anna Marie? She could sell, or she could speak about choral music in South Africa more eloquently when she was asked to do so at international forums. So you see, the benefit doesn't mention Toastmasters at all. The benefit is related directly to a problem that the client wants to solve. So let's have a look at some copy. Do you need more clients for your business? Do you feel that your presentation skills suck? I solved that problem and I learned so many additional leadership skills that my business is now flourishing. And I could be your mentor. Just click here. Just message me. So I'm identifying with the problem of the client that the person has. They want to grow their business. They need more clients. They know what their problem is. Their presentation skills suck. And now I'm offering social proof. I solved that problem. Not only did I solve the problem, I grew as a leader at the same time. And I could be your mentor. So I'm not offering some online course that they're going to be left alone with, that they're going to have to do on their own. I, who've had success in my business, am offering to mentor them. And all I want them to do is message me. So I'm connecting emotionally with their problem and offering a real solution and asking for an immediate step. Good copywriting will create the fear of missing out. So that's why I use words like you and your. But we can also use words like make it time-bound, make a limited offer. Offer them something for free. Here's an example. Is your job dependent on your presentation skills? My boss told me that my job was on the line, so now I know exactly how you feel. I connect emotionally with the person because I've profiled them. I know where they are in their career. Their presentation skills suck, and I'm identifying emotionally with them. Now I'm giving them a solution. You can learn these skills quickly when you understand the key elements of an unforgettable presentation. So there are a few key elements, and based on those, your skills can develop quickly. I didn't know that. And we can help 3 people right now. So this is a time-limited offer. Right now, 3 of you. It's not true. We're trying to get 5 new members into our club in September, am I right? For the Smedley Award. So we want 5, but that's a large number. We really want to make this a limited offer. So we're telling our ideal prospect we can only help 3 people right now. So please give us your email address right now. Time limited. And we're offering them a free, whatever it is, a discussion, a conversation, whatever you want to offer them for free that'll entice them to start building the relationship. We want to offer them, we want to remove all risk from them, for them. So here's an example. You can also become a great presenter. So now we're addressing that lack of confidence that the person has. They see other people being good presenters, but they've just failed miserably. So we want to build up that confidence. You too can become a great presenter. We've turned shy people into confident presenters for over 95 years. Social proof, 95 years we've been doing this. You are never alone. We have mentors ready to help you every step of the way free of charge. We don't charge for our mentorship program. Once you become a member, your mentorship is for free. It's not a lie, it's a genuine offer. And all we're asking for is their email address so we can start the conversation. So we remove the risk. There's 95 years of success behind what we're offering. And we're offering to hold their hand. They're never alone. I've already spoken often about social proof. How are we going to prove to them that this particular program works? So in some of these examples, I've used myself as social proof. We can use other members in our club as social proof. Here's another way of offering social proof. Standard Bank selects their best young leaders from their graduate program through the achievements they make in a self-paced dynamic leadership pathway. Not Toastmasters, we're relating it specifically to a product within Toastmasters, dynamic leadership, and it's self-paced. Isn't that what you want your leaders to be? And Standard Bank, one of the big 4 banks, possibly the best bank in South Africa, is using this particular program. That's good social proof. How are we unique? What's our unique selling point, a unique selling proposition? Why are we different from everybody else? We've already had mention of that today when we were talking about the features of Toastmasters clubs. We ask people to participate, we involve them, and we give them the platform so that they can become contributors. That is why Toastmasters, I believe, is better than any other program. So here's some possible copy. Our training program has a 95-year pedigree. Our mentors have already walked the path. That's why I stressed at the beginning that when we're looking for our ideal prospect, it's a good idea to know that you've got somebody on the pathways path ahead of them when you're offering the mentorship. Our mentors have walked the path. You learn by presenting, so by participation, and then you receive immediate, pertinent, helpful suggestions every step of the way. So it's not a once-a-year evaluation. You're not going to be evaluated at the end of the program. You're not going to write an exam. We're going to help you every step of the way. Nowhere else do you find this dedication to your success. And if you can know anywhere else where this kind of dedication is offered, put up your hand. Oh, I don't see any hands going up. I believe that we have the best program because of these features, because of these benefits that we offer. Why are we different or unique or fundamentally better? Here's an example. 2 world champions of public speaking will guide your success. Nowhere else is this level of input available at the cost of basic mentorship. Since I've been a Toastmaster, we've had 4 world champions of public speaking, 5 world champions of public speaking visiting us in South Africa, training us at our annual conference. I've learned from 5 world champions of public speaking. I've even paid money out of my own pocket to go to Stage Time University to learn from 2 world champions of public speaking, and quite a few other Toastmasters have done the same. This is no idle promise. A lot of your DTMs in your clubs can offer the guidance that comes directly from world champions of public speaking. Where else in the world can you get this kind of guidance except in Toastmasters? We are unique. So you're selling a unique opportunity to your prospect. In the marketing material that we provide, as I did in the conversation at the coffee machine, I want to offer something of value. And what did I ask in return? I asked for the person to meet me at 10 to 5 on Monday so that they could come with me. So I'm going to offer them something, and in the online environment, I want some form of contact information. Contact information is precious, it's valuable. So I need to offer something of equal value that'll give the person the confidence, or that they will feel enough value that they'll give me their contact information in return. Now, we can go and look through the Toastmasters website, through the Toastmasters International shop, and we may find something that we could offer our particular prospect who needs presentation skills that is of great value. On the other hand, we could create something ourselves. How about this? I could offer the 5 best kept secrets of an unforgettable presentation. Here's a free checklist. All I want is your email address. And as a DTM, I could prepare a 1-page checklist of the 5 best kept secrets of a great presentation. We heard from several of the people telling us their story today, some of the features that made for a great presentation. I remember some of the things that Nirvana told us about structure, about triads. So there are very particular things that we could put into a white paper like this in an hour, and that we could offer for, it costs us nothing, and we can offer it as great value to our prospect, and all we're asking for is their contact information. So as you develop the profile for your particular ideal prospect, think about what you can offer them. And if you can't find something to offer them, create something within your club. The offer should fulfill a need, something that is specific to your ideal prospect. It should have enough value that they're willing to part with contact information. It should solve an immediate need that they have. So this person is struggling with presentation skills, sees an immediate opportunity to get your free checklist, and that free checklist costs the club absolutely no money. We've gone to a lot of effort now. We've prepared a profile of our ideal prospect. We've spent a lot of time thinking about how we can speak to this ideal prospect in a way that sounds as though we're speaking to them at the coffee machine at work, having an intimate and personal conversation with them. We've made an offer to them that relates directly to a pain point or a challenge that they have. And now one of the things that we forget to often do in Toastmasters is to follow up. What is the reason for following up? I'm happy for you to raise your hand and to give me some responses. Why should we follow up with our prospects? Any hands? Or just unmute? Yes. I wonder.
Basically, the purpose of follow-up is to deal with objections from the prospect and any clarity-seeking questions that they might have, and also to get a commitment, obviously, to something that you're offering them, which is attending a meeting or whatever the case may be.
That's the ultimate reason, yes. Any other reasons?
Yes, reminder. Saying
Yes.
I remember you and you remember me, sort of.
Say that in another way. What would you call that? Okay, it'll come straight up on screen now. Build a relationship. The main purpose is to build a relationship around what you've already offered them. You've told them that you can help solve their goals or relieve them of their challenges or ease their pain points. So we want to continue building a relationship with the prospect around the promise that we've already made towards, so in other words, as we heard, we want to help them overcome their objections, and it's towards becoming a member. How quickly does your club follow up on their members? Please raise your hand if you know that your club follows up on members. Just raise your hand. 1, 2. It looks worrying. Not many clubs of 3 are following up on their members.
Would you like me to run the poll instead? Maybe some people
Do you
just
have
are
the
struggling.
poll available?
Yes,
go
I
for
do,
it.
yes.
Go for
So
it.
let's
Throw
run
up the
it.
poll.
Cool. There it goes.
Three, 4, 5, 6, 10, 12, 11, 13, 16 responses. Couple more responses. 19, 20. Couple more responses. How many people do we have here? We've got 35 people here. Couple more responses. 22 responses, 23 responses. Okay, let's show the results. 19 clubs say yes, 4 clubs are not following up. How quickly is that the next poll? Oh no, the next poll is how many guests how many of your guests are becoming members? Please fill in the next poll. How many of your guests are becoming members? Less than a quarter, more, up to half, most, or almost all of your guests? Okay. The poll's filling up quickly. Thank you for that. Let's show the result. I don't think that you're unique. As I think this is probably what we see across the board, that in most cases, less than a quarter, but certainly less than half of guests are becoming members. Now let me ask the next poll. How long does it take before your club follows up with the guests? Do you know if your guests are being followed up at the meeting, the very next day, within 2 days, or you're only contacting with them a couple of days before the next meeting? We're getting a spread of results. Let's have a few more. We're just over getting to 20 results. Right, let's show the poll. I'm happy to see that quite a number of clubs, 7 clubs, are following up at the meeting. But there are 8 clubs who only follow up towards the next meeting. And if we go back to the screen, what I would like to see is that we follow up with our prospects after all the work that we've done, after having brought them into a meeting or after having connected with them online. We need to follow up within 24 hours, at the very maximum 48 hours. Otherwise, the work that we have done is wasted. Because as we see in this poll that we did, in most clubs, less than a quarter of our prospects become members. And yet I'm fairly certain that if we asked our guests at the end of meetings, 100% of them would have given a good feedback, would have given a good comment on their experience of the meeting. How do we follow up? Please speak to people. Once you've got their contact details, try and make a personal, direct contact with them. Use the good old-fashioned telephone, whether it's a straight line or whether you're using data, WhatsApp calling. Speak with your prospects. Put them into a WhatsApp group, if your club has a WhatsApp group, but then keep the conversation, build that relationship with the prospect around the goals that you can solve or that you can help them achieve, the pain points that they need to relieve, or the challenges that they're experiencing. If you're connecting with them through Facebook, you may want to keep Messenger alive and chat with them on Messenger to build that relationship. Don't wait until the next meeting or until an event. Keep a conversation going. Possibly use email sequences. And there are some free products available in the market through which you can create automated email sequences. And if you don't know them, go and Google them. Look up the differences between them and make a choice. Okay, so we've come to the point where we now know who we're talking to. We've gone extensively into how we can speak with them so that we have an intimate, personal conversation with them. Even though we are marketing to them in an online environment, it still sounds as though it's a personal, direct communication with them. And now let's have a look at where we can find them. We have 2 kinds of clubs. We have community clubs and we have corporate clubs. And Division L And maybe many of you who are visiting us from or participating here from around Southern Africa are from corporate clubs. In corporate clubs, you need to go and you maybe don't have access to social media, which is what most community clubs will be using. So in corporate clubs, you're going to have a look at where you can find the people with the challenges that you're trying to solve. So you've had a look at your ideal prospect, and maybe you're going to run out of the number of people who meet that profile fairly quickly, and you may need to develop a number of profiles within a corporate club. But now look for where they are. In terms of marketing, you're probably going to use different ways, different avenues than you would for your promotional material. In the corporate environment, you may be able to use the intranet, you may be able to use billboards, electronic billboards that the company uses for your promotional material. But when you're marketing, you want to market in a more intimate way. So you're going to have to look for where the people with the particular challenges sit. So we're looking for people who need to improve their, our ideal prospect is somebody who wants to improve their presentation skills. So maybe conference teams is the place to go and have a look. Does your company have a conference team? Does it have a team that sets up, plans conferences ahead of time? That is maybe the place to look for your ideal prospect. Maybe you have meeting coordinators, people who have to be MCs regularly and don't have the skills. Maybe that's an environment that you could go and have a look. Project teams, people who need to present their results on a regular basis, who have all the knowledge and information but lack the skill and lack the confidence. So this may be an environment where you can go and look specifically for your prospects. If we have the freedom to use social media, let's have a look at what social media is available. The most popular is Facebook. Facebook owns Messenger, WhatsApp, and Instagram. Now, a lot of advertising, if you have the opportunity to use paid advertising that appears on Facebook, will also automatically appear on Instagram if you don't make the selection. Let's have a look. WhatsApp, you're probably using WhatsApp in your club. There are 1 billion daily active users in 180 countries, so most of the world is on WhatsApp. WhatsApp is an ideal platform where you know that the person you're speaking to is going to receive the message. And if you're speaking one-on-one with them, you can even see whether they're reading your message. It's a great place to keep the conversation going and to build relationships. So if you put a prospect into a WhatsApp group, please don't let the WhatsApp group go quiet. You don't want to bombard them, but don't let the WhatsApp group go quiet. Keep building the relationship. Messenger has only slightly fewer users than WhatsApp, and it's a platform that is really underutilized. If you're going to go into digital marketing, there are some great ways of creating automated bots that'll market to your audience using Messenger that sound like personalized conversations happening between you and your prospect without you even ever having to be online. Facebook itself, let's have a look. You'll get the link to all the statistics that you can see faded in the background of the slide. 8 out of 10 adults use Facebook. Each person on Facebook, on average, has 155 friends. And 3 out of 4, 3/4 of the people who are on Facebook, and that includes children or youth, earn a good salary. So here's a great environment to go and find high-earning, career-oriented people. Almost everybody in the world, every adult in the world is on Facebook. If you're looking for, in South Africa, 23 million, half the population is on Facebook. If you're looking for a more professional social media platform, Think about LinkedIn. LinkedIn doesn't have nearly as many users, 310 million active daily users. Still a large number. And the nice thing is that 70% of them are outside of the USA. So there are a lot of users here in South Africa. Even the millennials are on LinkedIn. Great thing is that 50% of graduates have a profile on LinkedIn. And because it is more professional, you'll find a larger number of people who are higher up in their organizational structure, including C-band, C-level executives, are on LinkedIn. When we look at social media, there is good news and there is bad news. The bad news is the social media algorithm. A lot of clubs, maybe your club too, has a Facebook page. At the end of the club meeting, your VPPR places photographs of how exciting the meeting was and all the great things that happened and who received awards on the Facebook page. And nobody's going to see them. Why? I put a photograph of me and my dog and I, on my profile page. I am an average user. I have 155 friends. The Facebook algorithm will look through my 155 friends, pick 7 of those friends who have reacted to dog photographs in the recent past and show them my dog photograph. It doesn't go to all my friends. The social Facebook wants to know that the post that I've posted is relevant to my audience before it shows it to my audience. So Facebook is going to show it to 7, maximum 8 of my friends, my 155 friends, so about 5%, and look at their reaction. Now, if those friends like, love, lol, wow, my photograph, and place a comment on the photograph, the algorithm says, obviously this post is relevant. And it'll slowly start rolling it out to more and more of my friends, continually looking for reaction. And the reaction time frame is 24 hours. If my friends share it onto their wall or share it with their friends, it is more relevant and I get faster reaction, or I get faster spread of my post. So the post that your VPPR puts onto your Facebook page goes to 5% of the people who've liked the page. And if they don't react within 24 hours, that post is dead in the water. Nobody sees it if they don't go to your page. That's the bad news about social media. What's the good news? The good news is that our chemical engineer is interacting in groups and on pages relevant to her profession, relevant to the conferences she's going to attend, relevant to the gurus, the industry leaders she's following. She's on several groups on many pages interacting with her peers. And I can meet her there in those groups, on those pages, and start a conversation, start building a relationship using good copywriting skills, as we've gone through earlier this morning. I can interact with her directly on social media. It takes work. I've got to understand my prospect well. I've got to think through where I can find her, and then I can start having a conversation in those relevant groups and on those relevant pages. In terms of social media, there are 2 ways of interacting. One is paid, the other is unpaid. Everything we've been talking about so far has been unpaid advertising. It's very effective, but it takes work. You've got to understand your prospect. You then have to go and find them manually and interact with them manually. Paid advertising can do that automatically, but it requires highly specialized skills to be able to find and speak with that prospect in the right place. Before I studied digital marketing, I spent several thousand rand of my own money boosting posts, trying to run paid adverts with zero results. So I know from personal experience that it takes a specialized knowledge to use your money effectively on social media if you're going to use paid advertising. So what now? What are your next steps? To wrap up this presentation, please remember the difference between PR, which is promoting. Promoting is great because it builds the brand. We want everybody to understand what the Toastmasters brand means. We want them to know the moment they hear it we want them to know exactly what it stands for. Marketing, on the other hand, is solving a problem. There's a big difference between PR and marketing. You want to know who your ideal prospect is, so please go back to your club, try and understand who your members are, what your club can offer, therefore who your ideal prospect might be for your club in terms of the membership and what the club can offer, the pathways that your members are on. Profile that prospect using the spreadsheet that you'll be receiving. Then find out where your prospect hangs out on social media or in your corporate environment. Ensure that whatever you say to the person, the copy that you write, has a next logical step which leads them towards joining your club. It'll be helpful to put this marketing plan that you have into your PR plan with your VPPR so that they can monitor it and see progress. And then please build relationships with the prospects that you get. You've now put a lot of effort into connecting with them and continue to build the relationship towards them becoming members. Don't leave them hanging for more than 24 hours without some kind of communication that you know you still care. That wraps up my presentation for this morning. Anke, I hand over to you to run the question session because you best know the timing.
No problem, I will do that. If anyone would like to raise their hands or possibly unmute yourself if you're struggling with that functionality. If there are any questions at this stage for JP about his presentation, please raise your hand. Go ahead. I'll keep a lookout for raised hands. All right, I'm not seeing anything just yet, so please do raise your hand if you've got a question. However, I'm going to take a quick second to give you an added extra for today, a little resource that I found useful myself from one of my mentors.
Before my presentation disappears, hit print screen or write down my email address. You can always email me questions.
Yes, please. And we will also share JP's presentation as well as the spreadsheet via email with everyone who has registered for this training. And with that will be JP's email address as well. Cool. All right, I'm going to just share my screen and take over from yours there. All right, so what I would like to share with you all today is a one-page marketing plan made famous by Alan Dibb. So it's based off his book, The One-Page Marketing Plan, and it's about getting new customers, making more money, and standing out from the crowd. So there's a little tool that I'll give you to download and also send via email or when I'm done here. But just to break it down, there's a need to understand the difference between marketing strategy and marketing tactics. Strategy is the big picture planning that you do prior to the tactics. Then the tactics before strategy leads to bright, shiny object syndrome. A great product or service is not enough since customers don't know how good it is till they've already bought it. You need great marketing since nothing happens until a sale is made. So the one-page marketing plan has 9 areas broken down into 3 phases. It's got the before phase, the during phase, and the after phase. In before, you're going to identify a target market, you're going to craft your message to your target market, and you're going to define the media that you will use to reach your target market. During the lead phase, you will look at a lead capturing system, what you may use as a lead nurturing system, and what your sales conversion strategy is. And finally, for the after phase, once they're a customer of yours, how do I deliver a world-class experience? How do I increase customer lifetime value? And how do I orchestrate and stimulate referrals? So this is applicable for any kind of marketing plan that you might have, whether it be for your Toastmasters club or your personal side hustle. Here's what I'll be sharing with you. It is one-page marketing plan, and this is what it looks like. It's editable. And it shows you those 3 phases, the before, during, and the after. So I'll just share this with you all as in the chat as a download that you can download right now. And otherwise, I will also share it via email. But that is it from my side. Any other questions before we wrap up?
Anka, there's a question in the comments in the chat.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's see here. What do you do or say when the objection is that they don't enjoy online meetings? JP, do you want to take that one?
Essentially, we as an organization are a face-to-face organization. We're hoping to get back to that very, very soon. What would you say if they say they don't like? I would make the promise that we will be going back to face-to-face meetings very soon. And I would encourage them to, if they don't like the meeting, at least become an audience and listen in, because they're going to gain great value and see how valuable it is in preparation for our face-to-face meetings.
Absolutely. I agree. Cool. Let's just see if there's any hands. Not at this stage. Okay, cool. If you got any further questions, drop them in the chat. Thank you everybody for joining us today. We will provide this recording to you as well as the slideshow as mentioned, and that other marketing, one-page marketing plan. There's a question here that says, who signs off the marketing materials?
I would suggest that it's probably a group effort, but if the club committee wants to assign that to the Vice President Public Relations, then do that by all means. But probably the Club Exco meetings is a great place to discuss and finalize all this sort of thing. Or maybe the VPPR wants to create a small subcommittee with 2 or 3 other people, and then they get the mandate to sign off on all this marketing material. Because remember, this marketing material is different from the brand right PR material that we've been speaking about in terms of Toastmasters public relations. Your marketing material doesn't necessarily have to be brand right, because you're having a one-on-one personal conversation with your prospect.
Awesome. Thank you. I think we've had a very informative session today. I've seen your session before at the PR for Success Masterclass. So I already knew that it was going to be very valuable to repeat it, especially at this time of year when we need people to renew their dues and stay members and also get new members in for those people that are unfortunately falling by the wayside. So thank you very much, JP, for making the time and giving of your personal time to do this training for us today at Toastmasters for Division L and Toastmasters Leadership Institute. Thanks you very much. I would give you a chocolate if we were in person, but let's just write it up. I owe you for one day when we see each other in person again. All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thank you, everyone, for attending, and it's been good to see some old friends online here again as well.
Cheers, everybody.